Hello, pre-algebra class. Welcome to Mr. Chow time with me, Mr. Chow. Today, we're graphing proportional relationships, which is lesson 6 on page 212 if you're following along in the book. Remember yesterday when we talked about proportional relationships? It's a relationship in which two quantities have the same constant, ratio, or rate. Well, we could also determine if relationship is proportional by graphing. So, for example, we have two graphs here of two different relationships. And so we're looking at the number of guests and the cost of going to, an ice skating rink. So, at this dot here, that's 100 over 10. Right? Because remember from our previous lesson, it's y over x. And y is this axis here. And so our next one here is 300 over 30. Well, both of these reduce down to 10 over 1. So yes, it is proportional. Oh, we're renting costumes. That's what we're doing. We're renting costumes for a party. The number of people we're renting it for. Okay, anyway. So let's look at this one here. This one, it's 500 over 25, which reduces down to 20 over 1. And then we have 600 over 50, right, which is this dot over here. 600 over 50 reduces to 12 over 1. So these two are not proportional. And so how can we tell by looking at the graph? Well, if the line is straight and it comes out of the origin, which is 0, 0, then it's proportional. If it comes out anywhere else, it's not proportional. So we can use a graph to figure out if a relationship is proportional. Let's take a look. The black mamba is the fastest snake in the world. The table shows the distance that snake travels for different times. So at 0 seconds, the snake has not traveled at all. After 1 second, it's traveled 5 meters. After 2 seconds, 10 meters, so on and so forth, right? So you can see here, this line comes out of 0, 0, and it's straight. So it's proportional. That's how you know. So it is proportional. And how you would explain your reasoning is that the straight line comes out of the origin. Let's take a look at another example. Let's say that a candle is 20 centimeters tall and it burns at a rate of 2 centimeters per hour. So is the height of the candle proportional to the number of hours it burns? So after 0 hours, when there's no time has passed, the candle is 20 centimeters tall, right? So a candle, as you might know, is one of these things. It's on fire. Yeah. After 1 hour, it's now 18 centimeters, 2 hours, 16, 3 hours, 14, 4 hours, 12 centimeters tall now. So if we were to graph that, it would look like this. So is this proportional? It is not. And you can tell because the line does not come out of the origin over here. It comes out of the y-axis instead. Or somewhere along the y-axis that's not the origin. Your turn. Determine if the cost of hot dogs is proportional to the cost. I'm sorry, what did I say? The cost and the number of hot dogs that you buy. Explain. So you already have a graph here. A table. So you can just graph it. The number of hot dogs goes on the bottom. So I'm just going to put 6 here. And then 2, 6, 2. And this is going to be 12 and 18, 24. Because I'm not going to draw this whole thing. Okay. And then the next one here, and then the next one here, and then the next one here, and the next one here. Okay, so it would look like this. So that is proportional. Because when you've bought no hot dogs, it costs nothing. It's 0, 0. Okay. when we're looking at the graph of a proportional relationship, we can use it to find the constant of proportionality. So this graph is going to have a point where the x value is 1 and the y value is r. And I don't know why we call it r. Maybe we should call it k, because we've been using the letter k for constant of proportionality, but we're using the letter r now. So in this case, r is the constant of proportionality. So let's take a look at an example of this. The length of stretch in millimeters of a spring is proportional to the weight in grams attached to the end of the spring. So basically, a spring is one of these things, right? And you can squeeze it, and it gets smaller, and you can also stretch it out. And when you let go, it bounces back, right? I should have found a picture of this on the internet. It's for those of you who know Chinese, it's a tan huang, right? Did I say that correctly? That'd be funny if I didn't. But I'm pretty sure I said it correctly. Oh, spring. Spring in physics. I didn't spell physics right. This thing right here. This is a spring. Okay. So when you hang something off of the edge of this, like a dog, you know, if you had a dog here and it was like, hey, how's it going? Just like this. Just like this. That's its tongue. If you had a dog, you know, and it was just hanging out on a spring, the spring would stretch out, right? And so the length of the stretch is proportional to the weight in grams. Find and interpret the constant of proportionality. So what is the constant of proportionality? Well, at 1, it's 5. So the constant of proportionality is 5, because that's the unit rate, right? So R is 5. So what does that mean? That means for every 5 grams, the length of the spring has stretched by 1 millimeter. So at 0, 0, what that represents is no weight on the spring. And at 1, 5, that represents 5 grams of weight, and it's stretched 1 millimeter. And at 20 or 525, that means that there's 5 grams of weight, and it's stretched 25 millimeters. Did I say that wrong the previous time? I think I did. The first one is the weight, and the second one is the stretch. Okay, your turn. Keith plants a seed. Every 3 days after the seed sprouts, he measures the height of the plant. The graph shows his results. Find and interpret the constant of proportionality. Welcome back. Okay. So the constant of proportionality, R, is whatever it is at 1, right? And so if we divide both of these by 3, then we get 2. 2 is our constant of proportionality. So at 0 days, what that means, if I had to explain that, explaining often means to give the details, and in math in particular, it means to explain to someone who's not looking at this data. So if someone's not looking at this table, what would you tell them so that they understood? You would say that at 0 days, the seed has sprouted 0 millimeters. After 1 day, it sprouted 2 millimeters, and after 6 days, it sprouted 12 millimeters. And that's it. Have a good one. Bye.